Yo, what's going on, guys? Welcome to my channel. Today we're going to be getting into something I want to start called the sample series. Basically what I'm going to be doing in the series is just cooking up samples of different styles, but trying to keep my own style involved in them. And I'm just going to kind of show you the process, the sound selection, just making actual melodies, adding effects, how I export, all that kind of stuff. So I'm just going to kind of show my process, and hopefully you guys can learn something from that. Today I'm going to be cooking up kind of like probably a CuBeatz or like a Pvlace type sample. I'm going to be using my one-shot pack alpha. I'll leave the link down in the description for that. It's got basses, bells, got a couple bonus samples, guitars, flutes, keys, pads, plucks. You get the point. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put the BPM up to around 143 for like a Pvlace type sample. I believe that's like the BPM range that he's usually in. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with this bell. And for those of you that don't know how to use a one-shot pack, I'll show you how to set it up. You're going to open it up like this, turn off the loop point. You're going to put the attack all the way down, the hold all the way up, and the release up a little bit. And you can kind of mess around with these, change the attack, change whatever you want. This is just kind of how I do it. So I'm going to go ahead and cook up a melody with this bell. And for a Pvlace type sample, the goal is to keep it relatively simple. So let's go ahead and get right into that. Copy that over. Okay, to me that sounds pretty good, just for like a little chord progression. So like I said, really simple. And I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add, I already got a trumpet, I got a pluck, I got a guitar. I think I'm gonna add more to this bell, so I'm just gonna duplicate this. Copy that over. And we'll go ahead and hear how that sounds. Okay, sounds good to me. Now I'm going to go in and add a trumpet. Okay, so for the trumpet, I'm going to set it up a little bit differently. I'm going to go ahead and put the attack all the way down, hold all the way up, and then everything else all the way down. And what that does is it allows you to have full control over the sound. So as soon as I stop playing it on my keyboard, it stops playing. So I'm going to go ahead and add a little simple melody in here. We'll start with the root note. Okay, now we'll go ahead and copy that over. And I'm going to do a little simple change up here on this side. Okay, like I said, really simple. Okay, and I think what I'm going to do with that is I'm going to EQ out some of the high end and the low end for the trumpet. Okay. Now I'm going to go in and I'm going to add a pluck. Again, really simple. So the last thing I'm going to do now is add a guitar, and I'm going to set that up the same way. I'm going to go in here, I'm going to put the attack all the way down, the hold all the way up, and then the release up, just like that. And I'm going to go in here and add a little melody with the guitar. Okay, here I'm just messing with the velocities to kind of make it sound a little bit more realistic. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and copy that over. And once again, I'm going to add just a little bit of a change up for some variety, but nothing crazy. Okay, like I said, really simple. Okay, so now that I have all of the sounds laid out, I'm going to go in and I'm going to randomize and strum the sounds. So I'll show you how to do that. I do this for almost all of my melodies, and it just kind of gives it more of like a humanized feel. So I'm going to select all of it. Actually, let me solo that. I think I'm going to add, actually, I'm going to go ahead and add halftime to this. Okay. I'm going to EQ out the low end. And you always want to make sure you add another EQ underneath the halftime, because when you halftime something, whether it's in gross beat or in halftime, it just adds a lot of low end. And you don't want a lot of low end in your melodies because you want to leave room for the kick and the 808 to come through. So generally in all my melodies, I EQ out the low end of almost every sound. But especially when you're using halftime, you want to make sure you add it underneath. Okay, and like I said, I'm going to go in and I'm going to strum this and randomize it. So I'm going to hit Alt-R to randomize, and that randomizes the panning, the velocity, and the release. The panning is just left to right, velocity is how hard the note is hit, and then release is how long the note lasts. So panning, I'm going to go ahead and just do that, velocity like that, and release like that, accept. I like how that sounds. Okay, so I just added those notes for like a little accent after the chord. Nothing crazy. So now that I've done that, I'm just going to go in and I'm going to strum this. I'm going to hit Alt S, and I'm going to strum it till it sounds good. Okay, go ahead and accept that. And what I like to do sometimes is change up the strum. So for the first one, it's going to be a quick strum like this. And then for the second one, it's going to be a bit more of a spaced out strum. So I'm going to go ahead and move it over. Go ahead and hear what that sounds like. So like I said, just little changes like that will go a long way. I'm going to delete that, just copy it over. Okay, so now that I've done that, I'm going to go ahead and do it for the rest of the melodies real quick. Okay, so now I've gone through and I've randomized and strummed all my velocities. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add effects onto each individual sound. So I'm going to go into the first bell. I already have halftime on and an EQ. I'm going to go ahead and add RC20. If you don't have RC20, definitely get it, definitely worth it. Really good for adding the detune, the wobble effect, and adds a bunch of other presets that you can just, or they have presets and then you can control it and do exactly what you want with it. Okay, so I'm just gonna leave that. I'm also going to go ahead and add some reverb to that. So I'm going to go ahead and add some Valhalla vintage verb. You can use Fruity Reverb if you don't have this. Just in my opinion, this is my favorite reverb. I always put the low cut up as well because you don't want the low end having reverb. It just kind of adds a lot of muddiness your track. Okay, so now I'm going to go to the next bell. Okay, so I think I'm going to add some halftime to this bell as well, but I'm just going to put it on 25%. Serious? There we go. Jeez. Okay. I like how that sounds. I'm going to add an EQ underneath that, like I said, get rid of the low end. Okay, so now I'm going to go into the guitar, and this is where I get a little bit different. I'm going to do the same thing and EQ out the low end and a little bit of the high end. Okay, so instead of RC20 for the detune, I'm going to go and add Mondo Mod Stereo. This is a really good plugin. Unfortunately, it's not free, so if you don't have this one, you can go and download, where is it? Isotope Vinyl. This is a free plugin, it's really good. Just up the warp depth, and it just kind of adds that same detune effect. But I'm not going to use that because I think Mondo Mod just sounds better. So I'm going to go in and I'm just going to go over to the wow preset. Okay, and then I'm going to add reverb a little bit, take out the low end, and then okay, and then I'm going to add an imager to this to kind of widen out the sound. Okay, so now that I have all of my sounds laid out with all of my effects, I'm going to put it in the playlist and arrange it. So what I like to do is I like to start out with the most complicated part of the sample, so the part with everything going on, and then kind of just dwindle it out. Okay, so now that I have it arranged, I'm going to go into the master channel, and I'm going to pull up Edison. And all I'm going to do is just record the entire sample into this and then drag it into the playlist. And if you don't know how to do that, you're just going to put this onto on input, click this button, and then just play it directly into Edison. Okay, so once you have it in Edison, what I do is I just go to the beginning and I cut it right where it starts, right there. And go all the way to the end where it starts over. Cut it right there. And then just drag it into the playlist with this button. And now we have our sample. Okay, so now we have our sample in the playlist, and what you can do from here is you can control the pitch. So I'm going to set this to auto. And what auto does is it automatically detects the best setting for your pitch change. And you can pitch it up or down. Obviously, I'm going to go ahead and try to pitch it down, see what it sounds like. Okay, I really like how that sounds. I'm going to pitch it down 300 cents, which is 3 semitones. So we started in D harmonic minor. So if you pitch it down 3 semitones, 1, 2, 3. We're now in B harmonic minor. The last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to normalize it. And then I'm going to go into the master track. I'm going to add an EQ and once again EQ out some of the low end. Okay, so now we have our sample here in the playlist ready to be exported, and that's pretty much my whole process. Like I said, this is kind of like a, didn't really turn out too much like Pvlace, but more like a CuBeatz style sample with the guitar and the horn and all that. And what I'm going to do with all of these samples throughout the sample series is I'm going to just put them in a folder and save them up, and then once I get like 10, I'll release them as like a free pack. So all the samples that I make will be put out for free. And like I said, I have my one-shot pack down in the description, as well as my sample library if you're looking for samples like this. So I'll go ahead and just play the sample, and I'll see you guys in the next episode.